There remain numerous unresolved issues between religion and science, most notably cosmic and biological evolution and the geological history of the Earth. This is the issue that we will present and analyze in this chapter. We will demonstrate that the so-called evolution is nothing but chapters from the history of the universe and humanity, orchestrated and folded by their creator. We cannot connect dates or trace events in sequence to achieve a clear picture that would guide us in understanding what occurred in the distant past, from the emergence of life on this earth to a point in time where we can definitively state, this is where history began. The threads of the history and beginnings of creation extend infinitely into the past without a known starting point. Any historian relying on the Torah or the formation of the primordial cloud does so arbitrarily. However, with a slight allowance for approximation, we can trace the history of civilizations that flourished and declined. Scientific discoveries and the accumulated knowledge of past events have brought us closer to this picture today, almost allowing us to see the ultimate truth with our own eyes. Scientific discoveries may appear to contradict sacred texts, yet in reality, they confirm and validate them. Modern sciences contain remarkable and numerous alignments with sacred texts, dismissing which would be unfair, and ignoring which would be ignorance. According to the Torah, God created the world in 4004 BCE. However, archaeological findings have established that human history dates back millions of years. This is evidenced by the massive skeletons found in caves and the human footprints discovered alongside those of dinosaurs, which disappeared from the Earth 50 million years before humans appeared. Modern science considers this evidence sufficient to disprove the Torah and any other sacred texts. Archaeologists have discovered human artifacts and relics dating back thousands of years BCE, approximately 10,000 years at the earliest estimate, across the globe. Thus, it is scientifically unacceptable to validate the account of Genesis or the Hebrew chronology asserting that 575 BCE marks the beginning of history. Ironically, archaeology, among all sciences, provides tangible evidence that is unambiguous and resistant to conjecture or interpretation, revealing the inaccuracies of the Bible and Hebrew history. The issue here is distinct from metaphysical or religious science, as archaeological discoveries are tangible and concrete, yet scientists struggle to provide reasonable explanations for them. Meanwhile, sacred texts explain the history of humanity and the universe, its past, present, and future, with clarity and simplicity. These texts expose the discrepancies between scientific reality and the religious truth, which is free from doubt. Archaeology confirms this truth, bridging the gap between misconceptions about creation and the myth of evolution, as we shall see. The story of Adam, peace be upon him, is the ultimate truth about human origins. This is agreed upon by sacred texts, the Torah, the Gospel, and the Quran. Ancient manuscripts and civilizations also recount the descent of a human from paradise to earth and the story of the Great Flood. Remarkably, these records appear in regions with no known connections between the areas where such texts and artifacts were found. The Jewish calendar aligns with the Old Testament in specifying the year 5751 as the beginning of the world's creation and humanity's emergence. Referring to the chronology of Adam in Genesis, which contains chronological coordinates derived from the Torah, it is inferred that approximately 19 centuries passed between the appearance of humanity and the birth of Abraham, peace be upon him. Experts currently estimate that Abraham lived around 1850 BCE. Thus, Genesis places the appearance of humanity approximately 38 centuries before Christ. Noah, peace be upon him, appears in Genesis about 1,056 years after Adam. Genesis, chapter 6, recounts that the Lord saw humanity's wickedness had multiplied on earth, prompting him to declare, I will wipe mankind, whom I have created, from the face of the earth, men, animals, creatures that move along the ground, and birds of the sky. The flood, according to the Torah, occurred in the 21st or 22nd century BCE. By this time, civilizations had already emerged in various parts of the world. In Egyptian civilization, this corresponds to the Middle Kingdom before the 11th dynasty, approximately 2100 BCE. In Babylon, the third dynasty of Ur was established. Abraham, peace be upon him, was born 3 centuries after the flood, during which time humanity had rebuilt itself into societies and civilizations in a remarkably short period after the near-total annihilation. These observations raise questions about the possibility of distortions as they conflict with modern geological findings. It is implausible to suggest that only 19 or 20 generations of human beings existed before Abraham, peace be upon him. Nor can advanced civilizations arise within such a short period following widespread destruction that eradicated humanity and all other creatures. Consequently, the data from the Old Testament are scientifically untenable in our era. These data fall under the realm of invalidity mentioned in the Second Vatican Council. This is the perspective of modern science regarding the texts of the Old Testament. Our perspective, however, is different. The distortion and invalidity are apparent characteristics of Genesis. The reality and the truth are something else entirely, as we shall demonstrate.